challenges, right? So that's one thing, we can take it forward from there. Now, I would like to next invite Dr. Alok Mishra, DDG NITI Aayog, if he is here. Dr. Mishra, are you here?
Uh,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thanks a lot for inviting me. In fact, I was very intently listening to what Professor Nilesh was saying and what Pritha you talked about. And towards the end, you did raise a number of issues in your presentation, and one of them was that what are the governing bodies for such a mega university, if you may call, or Meru, as the new education policy defines. Professor Nilesh Jain again talked about a number of things. The number of flexibilities that are already inbuilt in the IIT system, and something which is already working, and he also gave a great suggestion about documenting the best practices of IITs, ISS, and triple ITs, and how internationalization needs to be integrated in, when we start thinking of FAP, if we have to drive up the quality, because, quality, as you talked about, Pratha, that SDG 4 focuses a lot on the quality and inclusive education. Uh, Let me slightly try to sort of broach some of the issues here. Because I always thought that higher education was the least disrupted of the sector. But COVID has made possible what was only in the realm of possibility. But coming to what matters most to me is that what I realized was that I was involved in conceptualization of the BRICS network university, when I was director in the Ministry of HRD. And what I realized was that anything of any idea of this size requires a robust governing structure, and that clarity needs to be there. Uh, uh, um, whether you call a consortium, you call it a mega university, or you call it a network of institutions, they would more or less mean the same thing. Therefore, what we sort of try to sort of do, as part of this multi-nation efforts of BRICS sort of, countries, was that, can drawing from there, what I'll say is that, creating a FAP governing board, right? Sort of, FAP, multi-institution governing board, drawn from all the member institutions, and members, so obviously would be directors, directors from these institutions. Uh, mm, uh, uh, there would be other members which I'll be talking about, with chairperson being chairperson of the lead institution. It may be a good idea to create a lead institution, although, in the BRICS, we did not have this concept of lead institution. Why I'm saying is that lead institution does tend to drive, so that, these things are driven in a positive direction. Otherwise, everybody starts taking a back seat. Now, what is this that, this governing board, this large multi-institution governing board is going to do? I think first thing is to develop a strategic direction. A second would be that, approval of education programs, which would be, coming to it. Can this will require all the regulation that needs to be sort of, put in place of, what is it that it is going to do? It is going to approve the statutes of, various, coordination committees, which I'll be talking about, and then engaging with external institution and faculty under, like, and what Professor Nilesh was talking about, that engaging with external institutions and faculty and the Gyan or Spark or Vajra program, can not the least assessment of how the academic programs are doing. So this is how we could look at the first level, the highest level of, what you call a multi-institution FAP governing board, and chairperson being chairperson of the lead institution, so that, there's a responsibility and accountability that is sort of, that is the, clearly sort of defined there. The second thing what we could look at is, at the next level, is a FAP coordination committee in each of the institution. Now, why I would say that, now this would require, since it's a multidisciplinary effort, heads of various departments, could be there. and different other sort of members could be there. But the idea is to implement the decision of the governing board, right? So not only that, but also the operation or management of FAP at the level of the institution. So these are the most critical tasks that FAP coordination committee would be doing. The third level of institutions, third level of governing structure, which I think is is creating thematic group. You may call it subject groups or thematic group for various streams or various subjects, or various disciplines, and they would be across the institutions, and they will be providing support to the network institution, in the identified field of their expertise. So now, so many things, I mean, new education policy talks about multiple kind of flexibilities. Not all of them may be possible, but we need to start small. But at least having having this clarity in terms of putting the governance structure in place will make us sort of harmoniously, and the more organically evolve in the direction that I mean, we should be adopting. Can Somehow my understanding has been that national education policy has somehow come at the right time. Sort of, it's implementing, sort of, beginning post COVID, sort of, I mean, although COVID is not over, but still that post COVID phase, where I think both of them, I mean, education policy does capture the new trends, which are already evident, and which have been sort of, which have been made possible in the post-COVID era quite well. So, I mean, defining this broad governance structures and different level of governing structures, so as to have interest of different institutions which are going to be involved in this, mega consortium or network of institution would be quite important. I'll stop here, and then, as and when other points come up, I'll surely sort of, I mean, butt in and contribute. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra, for sharing your knowledge and experience in creating the BRICS University. Also, also learning from that experience. It's wonderful to have this whole idea about a governing body and then having institute level committees, and also the idea of forming thematic groups. I do think this is one possible way to take it forward, and hopefully we'll have more discussion when we go to the question answer session or have the interactive session amongst the panelists. So I would now like to